You've probably seen photos or footage of the Fushimi Inari Shrine, this place whose history goes back more than 1,300 years. But I bet you don't know and have never heard how it ties into government suppression and individual spiritual expression, rebellion against these government forces.
So if you read the Wikipedia article or ask your favorite AI about the shrine, of course you'll learn that it's 1,300 years old, that it goes back to the divinity Inari, who is the Shinto shrine of rice and bountiful harvest, which came to then mean business and commerce as well. You may even have read that these Torii shrine gates are, of course, donated by businesses and individuals as prayers to get their wishes and get better success in business. But you probably didn't hear when, how, and why these traditions came about. And I'm willing to bet you haven't heard anything about how Buddhist this mountain was and this whole area was for most of its history. It's really just since 1868, since the Civil War and the suppression of Buddhism, that it changed to be known as a Shinto shrine. Until then, it was Aizenji, the temple Aizen, and this was a Shingon tantric school Buddhist mountain. Okay, let's start with the history. Putting it in very broad strokes, there's a legend of members of the Hata clan who came here from the Korean peninsula. They were so wealthy that they used rice mochi cakes as a target practice for their arrows. And according to this founding myth, when one of them shot their arrow into one of these mochi rice cakes, it flew over to this mountain and rice sprouted here. And after that, it was known as Inari. Inari is a Japanese homonym for Ine-nari, or becoming rice. Japanese love puns, and I'll get into another few of those later on. So Fushimi Inari is iconic for these torii gates, the thousands and thousands of them that you find here. And I'll talk about how that works business-wise, how much they cost, and everything else a little bit later. But that is actually recent history. It didn't really get going until about 200 years ago. This was a syncretic Buddhist and Shinto place for most of history. And the torii gates were here, but it wasn't all about them and it wasn't about donating. It was more about a place of personal ascetic worship and doing what's called shugyo, doing sort of this ascetic training to generate merit and also get freedom from negative things like plague and accidents, fires, things like that. So during the Edo period, the rulers were Buddhists. The merchants were not as into Buddhism, you might say, as the samurai class. And so they did start this tradition then of donating, which is based on another Japanese play on words. So these torii gates is a word that sounds a little bit similar to toru, or to pass through, though written, they're completely different words. And so by donating money to the shrine, to the divinities, and making a wish, your wish would toru, would pass through. Tori, toru. There it is. However, in 1868, I've talked about this in some of my other videos, you had a civil war which brought an end to the military samurai class's rule through the shogunate and a return to the power of the emperor after 800 or so years of samurai rule. And part of this was a suppression of Buddhism, which had been one of the ways in which they enforced control over the population. And also they wanted to reinforce the idea of the emperor as God. And so re-emphasizing Shinto, emphasizing the god as the parent god, and the emperor is descended from the gods, and thus a hierarchy among gods depending on how closely they are related to the imperial family. And so what happened when the emperor retook power is they had this destruction of Buddhism. Tens of thousands of Buddhist temples were destroyed or transformed into shrines. Buddhist statues had their heads knocked off or were thrown in rivers and burned down. And this mountain here, the Fushimi Inari Shrine Mountain, Inari Mountain, was Aizenji temple, as I mentioned before. They got rid of all the temples, destroyed them, closed the temple. There had actually been one Shingon temple and two Jodo Pure Land temples, all of them destroyed. All the Buddhist statues up on the mountain, knocked out, taken down, destroyed, thrown in rivers, etc. And they replaced it with this very hierarchical, state-sponsored, emperor worship-focused Shinto, or what they called nationalist Shinto. So what this suppression did, and this vacuum left by the absence of Buddhism, allowed for other people to try and come back and express their personal devotion in unique ways. And that happened through these Otsuka stones, as they're called. And they are everywhere, all over the summit area. I believe there's supposed to be more than 10,000 of them. And some areas, they are numbered. And what they are is people have come and written their individual personal names for aspects of the Inari divinity that they connect with. And they come and have their own personal worship of these stones. And this was actually allowed because they framed it all in the context of Shinto and worship of the gods, though this was a direct result of the Buddhist suppression. And this was people basically sneaking their sort of direct, more Buddhist ascetic and direct worship traditions in to the officially sponsored Shinto tradition. All of these stones, if you come and walk around the top and you see that you're surrounded by these rock, shaped things, they're not gravestones, though it almost looks like that. They're people's individual divinities that represent a personal rebellion against state-sponsored Shinto that came about in 1868 and a return to a personal, direct, individual spiritual expression. I've been getting way detailed, so let me just back up a step. People think that Inari is a fox god because of all the fox statues you see around here. And just to clarify that, it's actually, fox is a messenger of the gods. They're white foxes, which are divine messengers, or sometimes even a mount of some of the gods. And there was actually a Buddhist divinity, the Dakini Ten, who is a Dakini in Sanskrit, actually, which is sort of a fierce, goddess of the charnel grounds, the place where people would be cremated, and god where people would go to meditate on death and impermanence. And it's a fierce looking thing that would cut through illusion and negative emotions. And the Dakini Ten is a esoteric tantric Buddhist divinity that was the main worship, the main object of worship rather, on this shrine. And Dakini Ten also had a white fox as their mount, and the Inari god was said to be the local manifestation of this cosmic Buddhist entity. One of the reasons that people fear foxes is that they're, of course, famously tricksters. They're known to beguile with their enchantments, also to sort of become attached to an entire family and cause mischievousness and bad luck for them, and even to possess people and cause madness. And there's even a lot of popular folklore where people, if they do this sort of thing with their hand, they're possessed by the fox spirit, which are, of course, also shape changers. So if you come to this shrine, again, you should really come at night or at dawn, 3 or 4 in the morning, and then it'll be largely empty. It's only 7:30, 7:40 at night now, and it's nearly empty, though there's a fair number of people still shuffling around, but it's nowhere near as crazy crowded as it gets during the day when you've got busloads of people and it's like Disneyland in here. Also, you may want to download a map. There are a number of places. I think All Trails probably even has a map. I use the Japanese app Yamap, which has a whole trail map for the entire area. And so you can use that to go on some of the lesser known trails, which even during the crowded hours are going to be fairly empty. And there are beautiful bamboo groves, as well as little waterfalls where devotees and ascetics still come to practice what's called takigyo, which is that where you're standing under a waterfall. In this case, it's not a natural waterfall. It's more like a little canal with a stream of water coming down. But that's, of course, associated with the divinity Fudo Myo-o, that fierce Achala in Sanskrit, who is the almost the patron saint, you might say, of the ascetic worship, standing under waterfalls while chanting the Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, the Hanya Shingyo. And so even if you have to come in the afternoon, if you get out of the really popular area and shoot off to the side, you can come pass through Bamboo Grove, stop in an area where you find all of these personal Otsuka stones, and just relax out of the throng that you are constantly surrounded by when you're in Kyoto. One thing that I forgot to mention is the price of the gates themselves. The torii gates, the little ones that you find in the 1,000 torii area, they cost 300,000 yen each, which is about, I believe, $2,000 at the current exchange rate, something like that. And they actually cost a little bit more, an extra 30 to 50,000 yen more, depending on how high up the mountain they are, because of how much more expensive it is to do that. And then, of course, for the larger ones, the price goes way up and you have to negotiate directly with the shrine for that. Usually there's a 4 to 5 year waiting period, sometimes as long as 10 years to find room, because they rot every 8 years. Each of these things only lasts for about 8 years, after which people are given the option to either build another one in its place, to do some repair, repainting on it, or just have it removed, which then opens the slot up for someone else. I hope that if and when you do visit the Inari Shrine, that you
Think about its Buddhist and the syncretic history of throughout most of Japanese history when this was a place of worship, both Buddhist and Shinto in that syncretic Shugendo tradition. And think about it as also a sacred mountain that the people who lived here even before the Yayoi came, the Jomon originals, no doubt worshipped as well as a sacred place going back perhaps more like 10 or 15,000 years. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the trails.